This September, bad blood will be settled.
This is more than personal.
The long-awaited trilogy.
There's real bad blood here.
Canelo versus Triple G. September 17th, live on DAZN pay-per-view. Visit DAZN.com.
This is Harry Judd for Boxing Social in association with Bet4Everywhere in Stockport. I'm delighted to be joined by Matthew Hatton. First of all, how are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you.
First of all, I have to say congratulations, Jack Hatton. It's the boxing name, the Hatton name continues.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a funny one, really. I mean, Campbell the same. Never encouraged to box. In fact, I'd rather them do other things, really. But you know, it's who they are. They want to do it. Boxing's been good to me. It's been good to Ricky. So why can't it be good to them? And he's looking very, very good. You know, he's very, very pleased with him. It's done wonders for his confidence, for his discipline, and he's taken to it like a duck to water. Really, he's had 6 fights. He's won them all, and the progress he's made has been amazing. Really, I mean, he only put a pair of gloves on for the first time in 18 months, and here we have. He's had 6 contests. He's looked very good in them, and he's enjoying his boxing. So yeah, maybe you know, don't want to get too far ahead, but he's doing very, very well at the minute.
How old is your lad? Is he 14 years of age?
14 years of age, yeah. Like I say, he's had 6 amateur. He had 2 fights last week. Actually, he's having more fights than Steven Seagal. But yeah, he's enjoying his boxing. That's the most important thing.
Because you're similar to Ricky, and perhaps you know other fathers and obviously sons and boxers. You know, you didn't want him to go into boxing, but it's just that edge. It's just something that's in them that gravitates towards the sport.
Absolutely. I mean, watching it and being around it, of course. But it's just something that's in them. Conor Benn's the perfect example for that. He doesn't need to box, but he's got that hunger in him. It's you can spot it a mile away, and I spot that same hunger in Campbell. You know, Jack, very, very, very early days, but he's certainly got the eye of the tiger. He's doing really well. He's enjoying his boxing, and let's see where we go with him.
Campbell has just turned up off behind me, but again, a great performance out in Sheffield last time, getting the decision 8 rounds. Again, showing off some great skills, which you've seen in the gym over and over.
I see it in the gym time and time again, and I've been saying, you know, Campbell has been getting gradually better. He's been improving with each fight, but as I've just said to yourself, Harry, off camera, he's capable of so much more. And I think we've seen it in little patches in the last fight. I thought the first round he was fantastic, and again during the fight against a good opponent, we saw little glimpses of what he can do. But he got overexcited, he tried too hard, he does like to impress. So we've got to learn from that. But he's getting gradually better with each fight. But I think we're seeing now in little glimpses what he can do. He needs to get a little bit more consistent now. But we've not even scratched the surface yet with Campbell. He's a good fighter, and we're going to continue to see improvement and fighting regular.
Is the pressure slightly coming off? There's always going to be pressure, especially with the Hatton name, and especially with having a few amateur fights, and not as many as a lot of other fighters. But are we seeing him getting more comfortable in the ring now?
Absolutely. You know, with experience comes confidence. He didn't have a lot of amateur fights. He has been thrust in the spotlight, and again, I know myself that is something that you get used to. You get more accustomed to. So I think Campbell is relaxing a little bit more now. Still more to come. And I think we're seeing it in the ring again, gradual improvements in flashes. We're seeing exactly what he can do. But yeah, he's getting more relaxed now, and he's enjoying his boxing more now. And when you see those things, you do see people's best work.
It was a next-gen show, maybe the ideal place for Campbell. It was there was pressure still, but we always look at the AJ Usyk undercard and look at it being on such a massive stage and being so early on in your career. Perhaps it's good to go on, let's say, your next-gen shows, not your pay-per-view shows, to gain more experience.
Absolutely, like I say, he's getting more experience now, more confident. He's learning to deal with the pressure. He learned a lot from the whole experience on the AJ undercard. Where he was placed on the bill, I had no problem with him fighting on the bill. Where he was placed certainly wasn't my decision. It was absolutely madness with hindsight. But everyone's looked at that, learnt from that. We've put it behind us, we've moved on. And again, we've seen big improvements from them. So every cloud has a silver lining, even though it wasn't his best night. He learned a hell of a lot from it, in and out of the ring, and it's going to stand him in good stead for the future.
How do you find coaching your nephew and obviously Jack now? How do you find of it, the family dynamic? Again,
it's I was always I wasn't too sure how it was going to go, really. I mean, I've always worked with Campbell from an amateur anyway. I started working with him from probably about the age of 16, doing quite a bit of work with him. And me and Campbell have always got on fantastic. We've always got on really, really well. And we have two separate relationships, really. He's a fantastic trainer. He's good fun to have in the gym. Again, I've been coaching some years now, and he's one of the best trainers that I've ever trained. He really has. He's got a great attitude to training, great work ethic. Away from the gym, he takes the piss out of me, something rotten, he really does. But we have a separate relationship. We do keep it a little bit separate. He's fantastic when I get him in the gym. He's good fun to train. I am his uncle, and away from the gym, nothing's changed really. We have a great laugh together.
I suppose added with the football, you being a red, he being a blue, I suppose that's where most of the arguments come from outside the ring here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive football fan. I am a United fan, but I'm certainly not a diehard like Campbell and his dad are. So, no, there's not too many arguments about the football, to be fair.
What can we expect from his next fight? Ideally, off camera we spoke, you want him out 2 times at the end of the year to make it 10 fights altogether so far. But we are losing time, really. We need these dates sort of relatively now, really.
Absolutely. We need a date. We haven't really got a date yet. Eddie Hearn said before his last fight he wanted him to box twice again this year. In an ideal world, that's exactly what I'd want. So we need to get a date pretty rapid, really, and I'm sure it'll be in the next few days. In terms of 2023, is there any chance we could start looking towards titles or British level? Where do we look on going? Again, even though you always have a plan, don't you? You always have a plan how you envisage things going, how you'd like them to go. In a sport like boxing, you've got to take it fight by fight, really. So, Campbell's, like we touched on earlier, he's getting better, he's improving all the time. Such a young man. You know what I mean? He's still 21 years of age. People forget that sometimes. So I'm certainly in no rush. But again, I certainly wouldn't hold him back. 2022, he's fighting regular. Could he challenge for a title in 2023? Yeah, possibly. We must touch on it. I was lucky to be with Ricky last week, talking about his return. Just give me your instant reaction when you heard about that news, or when Ricky told you that he was thinking of coming back. I wasn't too sure originally. I mean, he has been saying it for some time. And again, I'm not a great lover of these exhibitions. I've got to say, I've got to be honest. But when I look at Ricky's personal point of view, he's trained so hard. I mean, it never happened in the end. He trained so hard. He lost a hell of a lot of weight. He looked great. He was feeling great. He did some work with Campbell, actually, which was fantastic. It was a bizarre spectacle to watch. But I know Campbell certainly benefited from it. He learned a hell of a lot. And I was quite shocked how fit Ricky actually was. Not only did he look good, he was fit too. So from Ricky's point of view, I'm sure people still want to see him fight. Again, they're talking about him fighting Barrera, 2 legends of the sport. And at the end of the day, he's got himself in great shape physically and mentally. I think the fight possibly is going to happen in November now. So from his point of view and ours as a family, it's a win-win. As a neutral, how was the spar for either man? How was it? Going to put you on the spot now. Again, it was one of those where I was watching it and it was just so bizarre. It was difficult to to watch at times. But the level of the sparring was fantastic.
How many rounds they do?
Well, I assumed he messaged me about sparring Campbell about 2 months before it actually happened. And then I never heard anything. And then he messaged me about 2 weeks before they actually did it and said, is Campbell up for some sparring? So I said, yeah, Campbell can come down, do some sparring. And he said, we'll do 6 rounds, if that's okay. He said, yeah, no problem. But I assume they'd be doing 6-2s, because Richard's doing 2-minute rounds in the exhibition, of course. But they ended up doing 6 3-minute rounds. And, you know, it was very competitive sparring. It really was. I'm sure both took a lot from it. I know Campbell certainly did. Ricky certainly taught Campbell a trick or two. And like you say, it was a bizarre spectacle, but both got a hell of a lot from it. And to say it was a good watch was an understatement. It was a really good watch. There was only a handful of people there, but everyone enjoyed it, and it was a really good watch. It really was.
I did ask Ricky, what happens after this? Is it going to be another exhibition? In terms of boxers and retirement, a lot of people deal with it differently. You, as one, have dealt with it, arguably, really, really well. You don't miss it at all, do you, Matthew?
I miss fight night. I think all sportsmen miss the excitement, the build-up to the fight. But no, my transition, I know a lot of boxers really struggle with retirement. I've never been happier, I've got to say. I look back on my own career, 52 fights, I achieved a hell of a lot. And I do hear a lot of boxers, and you hear it a lot these days, saying what the sport's taken from them. And they look back on the sport and they're quite bitter about it, really, which, from my point of view, is the complete opposite. I've always loved boxing. I've taken a hell of a lot from boxing. I'm still involved in boxing now. I've got my own gym. I'm loving working with the fighters. People say, do you miss the sparring? Do you miss this? No, everything's got a shelf life, and I'm firmly on the shelf now and quite enjoying it. So I miss the fight night, miss the day-to-day grind. No, I don't. Got out unscathed, done quite well out of boxing. So I look back on my boxing career with fond memories.
Hypothetically, let's say, obviously, Jack is still relatively a novice, relatively young in his amateur career. Let's say he does turn professional. Are you the man to take the reign and be in his corner?
I honestly haven't thought about that, and that's the God. You always get the honest truth out of me. Jack's very fortunate at the minute. He's at a great club, Tameside Elite. These coaches at these amateur clubs, they spend so much time with these kids. A lot of them are volunteers. They take nothing from the sport, and I applaud them. Steve Brady, Steve Buckley, Danny Benson, doing great things with Jack. He's very fortunate. I train him once a week. He trains with Ricky once a week. So that's why we are seeing him improving so quickly. But, yeah, it's a long way away. He's certainly not going to be short of people to train him and to advise him. But it's certainly something I've not thought about yet. But he's showing signs, and it's going to be exciting.
Mention father and son's boxing relationships. News came out. It's now been squandered in terms of Eubank Snr's plan, or has come out and said that he wished to pull Eubank Jr. out of the Conor Benn fight because of the rehydration clause, because of the weight loss, etc., and how dangerous he says it would be for Eubank Jr. What's your thoughts on that? And if you could hypothetically put Cameron in that situation, or let's say Jack in that situation, how would you have coped with it?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, innit? And like everyone, I saw the headlines this week, and as a boxing fan, I really can't wait for that fight. So I never believed it, because I think, as Cal said, the Sowland said, the contract is with Chris Eubank Jr., not with Chris Eubank Sr. Is it mind games? I don't know. Are they trying to move the goalposts a little bit with the weight? I'm not too sure, because one thing about Conor, he sounds so confident, doesn't he? Conor's saying, I'd have fought him at any weight, I'd have fought him at 160. So have they seen that and started trying to move the goalposts a little bit? I don't know. And again, it's one of those things, and again, I suppose I'm copping out a little bit. You don't know yourself till you're put in that situation. Big decisions to be made, but the fight's going ahead, and as a boxing fan, I can't wait for it. I really can't wait.
I don't think anyone can wait for it. We certainly don't want that fight to be called off or postponed or cancelled for any reason. But this week, it is Canelo and Triple G, the trilogy fight out in Vegas. You obviously boxed Canelo, I think, was it 11 years ago now? Or
2011.
Yeah, so about 11 years ago. Just take you back to those memories boxing. Canelo, he was only a novice, let's say 20 years of age at that time. Just take us back to what your memories are of that fight.
It was certainly a tough night. You know, even back then, for such a young man, such a good fighter, physically so strong, and it was a tough night. It really was. But again, I'm a positive person. I look back on it, and I look back with fond memories. Has it surprised me what he's gone on to achieve? No. I literally knew within 1-2 rounds that I was in there with a special fighter. So it hasn't surprised me what he's gone on to achieve. And I look back on it with fond memories, and I look ahead to the fight with Golovkin this week.
It was your first American headliner, wasn't it? How special was that for you? That's what I read. I could be wrong, but I thought it was your first American headliner.
Yeah, no, I was fortunate enough to fight in America quite a few times before that. A lot of time on my brother's undercard, but to headline in America, in LA, against an upcoming superstar. Yeah, no, it's nice to look back on. How
strong was it 20 years of age?
Unbelievably strong. That was the one thing that shocked me. He was phenomenally strong, and I'd been used to sparring bigger guys, I'd fought bigger guys, but just physically so strong. He selected his punches so well. And I'm not going to lie, it was a big shot. Literally after a couple of minutes I thought, Jesus Christ, this is going to be a long, tough night, and it was.
What would you have done differently in terms of your tactics in that fight, and let's say what could Golovkin do in that fight? Because arguably everyone's saying that Golovkin is a bit too old for this fight. So if you were Golovkin, how would you tackle this one?
I think the first mistake I made was getting on that plane, to be honest, but no, it's we've seen 2 fights, haven't we, already between the two, and again, close fights, good fights. So interesting, you know, Golovkin ageing, getting past his best. Alvarez physically still, you know, really good and improving. Are we seeing signs of Alvarez's hunger starting to go? I think the signs were there in the last fight. I thought so personally. I thought Bivol boxed really well, but Alvarez has made so much money, and he's more like a celebrity these days. You can imagine how many engagements he's at and stuff like that. Is that hunger starting to go? So it does make it an interesting fight. Golovkin's been a great fighter. They always say a great fighter's always got one last push in them. I think we'll see a good Golovkin at the weekend. Has he got enough left to beat Alvarez? I don't think so. You know, Alvarez lost his last fight. I was questioning his hunger, and I think that's a valid question. Or will it work on the flip side? Will he be smarting from that defeat, and will he bounce back with a vengeance on Saturday? I mean, we'll see another good fight, another closest fight, but I think I can't see anything else than an Alvarez win, really. I'd be shocked if we saw Golovkin turn the tables this time.
Would it be a stoppage? A lot of people saying an early stoppage for Canelo. Is that something that you'd look? Well, is something that you think would happen?
No, I don't see an early stoppage. I think there's a case for a late stoppage or a fairly clear points win. My money would be on a late stoppage for Canelo, maybe around 10.
Yeah. This September, bad blood will be settled.
This is more than personal.
The long-awaited trilogy.
There's real bad blood here.
Canelo versus Triple G. September 17th, live on DAZN pay-per-view. Visit DAZN.com.